Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you don't remember, I did have a video a few months back detailing the weight and installation of some Tubolito tubes that I got, and I promised a review video, but here in Kansas we had some really nasty winter weather, especially down in February when we got just completely ice cold temperatures and I could not get any outdoor riding done. However, I have got some riding done since then, and I have formulated some thoughts that I'm going to share for you today. But if you missed that video before, go ahead and hit that link up there and you can see the weights and the unboxing, so to speak, of the Tubolito tubes and my experience with installation. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things I really like about the Tubolito tubes and 2 things I don't really care so much about. And it is important to note here that I have ran both the road version, the 18 to 28 millimeter Tubolitos, as well as the CX and gravel version, which I did put quite a few miles on here in chunky Kansas gravel. So I think I have a good base to discuss my thoughts on the Tubolitos for both road and gravel usage. So we'll go ahead and start with the first thing I like. Number 1, they are an extremely light tube and they're very packable. I guess it's 2 things, but I'm going to go ahead and classify them as 1 here. With the Tubolitos being so lightweight, they make a difference in the rolling weight, rotational weight of the wheels. I know some people will say that it doesn't make a difference. Even if it's just a feel thing, I can certainly feel the difference between a set of heavy tires and tubes versus lightweight tires and tubes. So whether it makes a difference on performance or not, I can't really say, but the feel is definitely there. And in addition to that, being able to pack the tubes along, whether it be in a jersey pocket, a saddle bag, or some other form to carry along your bike for a spare, they are an absolute excellent use case for Tubolitos, just because they take up so much less space than a traditional tube and they are so much lighter weight. So now for my first dislike about the Tubolito tubes, and this is one that absolutely anyone considering Tubolitos is going to take into account, and that is price. They are extremely expensive. Some people have the luxury of being able to buy stacks and stacks of Tubolito tubes. I don't. I did spend quite a bit of money getting my first batch of them, but again, it's a big chunk of money that you have to sink into it, and especially with people going tubeless and there being latex tubes and lighter weight butyl tubes out there. It's really hard to justify the cost for the tubes, but since I have them, I certainly do like them. So for my second like of the Tubolito tubes, and this is a big one, especially for anybody that has ran latex tubes, the ability to hold air pressure on the Tubolito tubes is, quite frankly, better than any I have experienced thus far. With latex tubes, yes, they have fantastic rolling resistance. They can be had at a very light weight and are, for the most part, inexpensive, but the rate at which they lose air pressure can be extremely burdensome, meaning you have to check and add pressure to your tires prior to every single ride. So the Tubolito tubes, they hold air much better than latex tubes, better than thin butyl tubes, and I would say they're on par with or better than really thick butyl tubes. So that is a huge benefit, knowing that I can pick up the bike and ride without having to add air every single day. Of course, if you're a stickler about your tire pressure, you'll certainly want to do that. They do lose air, but certainly not at the rate at which some of the competitors do. And I can't compare with the Schwalbe Aerothans or anything like that, because I just haven't used them. So on to my second dislike about the Tubolito tubes. And this is kind of a big one, and it may be controversial because I don't know that I've heard anybody mention this in past reviews, but, and this is entirely subjective, I feel like they are a more harsh riding tube than the butyl tubes, and certainly more harsh than the latex tubes that I've ridden in the past. Again, no comparison going from tubeless to a Tubolito either. Tubeless is certainly a much more comfortable ride at equivalent pressures, but certainly when I swapped the tubeless tires I had over to Tubolito tubes, it was a very distinct difference in the ride feel, with it being much more harsh at equivalent pressures. And that brings me down to my final like of the Tubolito tubes, and that actually is something that surprised me quite a lot, is the ease of installation for these tubes. I have and still do run Challenge open tubular tires, which are notoriously difficult to install, and I can confirm, having installed multiple sets multiple times, they are a challenge almost every single time. But with that said, having used Continental Race Light tubes in the past on my Challenge tires, I found it extremely easy for the tube to get pinched under that bead, and then when you add pressure to the tube, that pinch just works its way into the tire there and can burst, which I have had happen to me, which is not a fun experience out on the road. However, the Tubolito tubes, because they have a really slick plastic-like casing, I find that they don't catch on the bead of a tire when you're installing it like a rubber would or a latex would. And that also might aid, and this is pure speculation, in pinch flats because they are so slippery, so to speak. But yeah, so over the 1,000+ miles between road and gravel that I've put on Tubolitos, I have had not one single puncture, even out on some pretty chunky Kansas gravel. So I don't want to put too much stock into the puncture resistance, just because, one, I don't have a lot of time on them, and two, I don't get a lot of punctures anyway. I don't know if that's down to my weight or not, but in the same sense, I haven't got any. So that's a definite plus for the Tubolitos. So, as I said in the beginning of the video, if you have any questions about the Tubolitos, go ahead and drop them down there in the comments. I love getting engaged in the comments, providing additional thoughts that I don't think to include in the video portion itself, but I'm always happy to elaborate on things that you may have questions about down in the comments. So, as always, give this video a big like if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. I've got a lot of viewers out there that come back to my channel repeatedly, but they still haven't subscribed, and I'm telling you guys, if you just hit that subscribe button, it really helps me out. So, thanks for watching.